Hey guys, welcome to another video from Historic Militaria. Today we're going to be looking at what outwardly appears to be a regular run-of-the-mill 1930 commercial Mauser Broomhandle, but it is not. And the only way you can tell is if you take a look at the bore. And I know it's not going to look like much because you can't have a set of calipers to measure that, but that is a Mauser 8.15 experimental. Now, what is the 815 experimental? Well, who knows? And that's kind of the real answer to this. The 815 is a Mauser caliber that is only known definitively from a DWM head stamp, and that's, I believe it's DWM 580 was the head stamp, and it was an 8.15 by 25 millimeter round. So it was a standard 763 by 25 necked up to 8.15. No actual examples are actually known. There are people who claim to have them. They have never actually produced one that is definitively a real example. They're really strange guns. They have been known in the collecting community since at least the 1960s. And when I say the 1960s, I mean the early 60s. They're just something that is sort of an enigma. I've heard some theories that some were made in right after World War I by the Austrians for the Rast Gasser cartridge. That seems a little bit sketchy because ones that have been examined don't have any modification for the Rast Gasser cartridge, which was a rimmed revolver cartridge, and there's no modification for that feeding. There are factory 8mm examples known from that time period as well. I believe we did a video on one actually that has a grooved follower to help with feeding, obviously a straight rimmed or straight cartridge. So that's another mystery. And then there's a group here in the 1930 commercial for another 8.15 cartridge, which seems to be different. And these have been known, like I said, since the 1960s. Some authors have basically blown them off to say they are figments of the imagination or that they are creations of people trying to cash in. But again, since they've been known for well over 60 years now, before Mauser was even really collectible gun, that doesn't make a lot of sense, so that doesn't really hold any water. I don't think that the premise that they are fakes or anything like that is really a starting point in any serious discussion about these. So if we're going to have a talk about what they are, you just need to accept they're real, except they are some experimental caliber, and why Mauser was making these is just sort of unknown. I've also heard the theory that they were, Mauser was hesitant to make a 9mm cartridge because of the Treaty of Versailles, but that doesn't make a lot of sense because when these guns were made, Germany was rearming and making Lugers and making all kinds of stuff that really wasn't, nobody was going to care if they were going to make a 9mm broom handle. Germany was doing much worse things at the time. So anyway, without further ado, we'll look at this 8.15. You've got your standard 1930 commercial type grips with the wide serrations. Your very nice salt blue with salt blued small parts. They were doing this on these later guns, and this is a pretty late gun. So you've got your black finish. Outwardly, everything is the same. You've got your stepped barrel of the 1930 commercials with the same standard front sight. No markings or anything like that other than your standard Mauser logo on the right side. I flip this guy over. This one is still before Mauser moved the serial number, so you can see that's in the 895,000 serial number range. So pretty close to the end of production, considering they stopped making them right around 921,000. And right about within several thousand serial numbers after this, they moved the serial number back here, and that would be the only serial number on the gun. And just like that, this one too Only serial number is going to be right here. None of the parts are going to be serial numbered to the gun either. So you've got your standard 1930 commercial safety, which is up for safe, and your gun can still be cocked at that point. So you can have it cocked and safe, move it down to fire, move it up to put it back on safe, and you can actually drop your hammer on these by pulling the trigger, and it will go and be blocked before it hits the firing pin. Other than that, it is a very standard looking Mauser. There's nothing on it that says 815, nothing on it that would say experimental. The only sort of unusual marking that I was able to find on this is actually, we'll take a look at this, is on the front strap. And I'm not sure if that's going to be readable, but it is a sort of almost a Asian character and then a 45. So not really sure what that might mean, but that's the only unusual marking at all on this gun. Everything else is very standard. And again, this gun has been shot, so obviously it had ammunition run through it. I don't know if somebody got a hold of some 7.63 Mauser and fired it, or if it was a test gun for 815 rounds. But either way, interesting gun. Don't see a lot of these floating around. They are known, but not a lot of people get a chance to get hands-on with one, so I've enjoyed taking a look at this one close up. Really glad I got a chance to look at it. Hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this video too. As always, remember to like and subscribe. And if you know anything about 815s, if you own one, if you have some concrete theories, if you've got some proof of some sort of what they were, or you know, if you've actually got a cartridge, I would love to know about it. Share the knowledge. Don't keep it in your basement hidden away from everybody. Let's hear about them. Let's figure out what these guys were. Thanks for watching.